All right, we're back. We are on page 3 of notes 9 of Calc AB. We're talking about derivatives of inverses. And so let's do a problem where it'll be like a little more obvious why you want to go through this process instead of just finding the inverse and finding the derivative, which I think is what a lot of people want to do initially. So we want to show that f of x has an inverse that is a function. There's an easy-ish way to do this. The way that I'm going to do it is I'm going to think about what a function that has an inverse has to have a property. There's a certain property. I don't know what I said. There's a certain property that a function that has an inverse will have. And I'm going to draw a function that definitely has an inverse. I'm going to draw another function that definitely has an inverse. Now I'm going to draw a function that doesn't have an inverse that is a function, right? So the thing that makes these definitely have an inverse is that they're either increasing or decreasing. The reason this doesn't have an inverse that's a function is because it's increasing and decreasing, and therefore not one-to-one. And so it can't have an inverse that's a function. So let me get this out of the way. I'm going to use that fact to answer this question. I'm going to say f prime of x, whoa, that was this stroke was supposed to be the prime symbol and it just like got out of control. F prime of x is 3x squared plus 1. Well, 3x squared plus 1 is greater than 0 for all x. Therefore, f of x is increasing for sure, right? Because the derivative is greater than 0, which like maybe you don't 100% know yet, but like I feel intuitively that you probably know that. And if you took analysis, you definitely know that. So f of x is increasing, and therefore, double therefores, like long sentence, f of x has an inverse function. There you go, FUNC, period. Can you easily find the inverse? I'm gonna say no, I don't, not only do I think you can't easily find it, like I think you're gonna struggle to do it the hard way, right? We would try to do x equals y cubed plus y. Solve for y? What? How are we gonna do that? It's gonna be a problem. So instead, let's use this other idea, right? So find the ordered pair on f of x for which x equals 2. Algebra 1 question. F of 2 is going to be 2 cubed plus 2, so 10. Therefore, the ordered pair is going to be 2, 10. All right, so the point 2, 10 is on f of x. On f of x. So that's giving us like an a and a b from the previous thing where I like murdered that. Find the slope at 2. All right, so f prime of x, we already said, was 3x squared plus 1. So f prime of 2 is going to be 3 times 4 is 12 plus 1, so 13. All right, we're like basically kind of done. Okay, so if 210 is on f of x, then what point is on f inverse of x, right? So if 210 is on f of x, then 10.2 is on f inverse. So we know that 10.2 is on f inverse. I'm gonna write because, what? Because, oh man, go away. 210 is on f of x. And then, all right, what notation are we gonna use here, right? So it's like f inverse of x prime, perhaps? This is why we say g of x. I let g of x equal f inverse, then g prime of, so what are we going to find g prime of? We're going to find g prime of 10, because 10 is the x coordinate for g of x, right? G of x is f inverse, 10.2 is on that function. G prime of 10 should just be the reciprocal of what we got, so 1 over 13, which is 1 over f prime of 2. So they have this nice relationship, and we're going to use it like all of the time. So this is, again, a summary of this. This is how I usually actually think my way through it. G of x is f inverse. AB is on f of x. So I automatically know two things. I automatically know, since AB is on f of x, that BA is on g of x, because it's the inverse, and g prime of b, because you always plug this into the derivative. So g prime of b is 1 over f prime of a. This is This is the easiest way to think your way through it. So easiest way to think through it. I think. This is all my opinion, but I think that's the easiest way. So the hardest part of these types of questions, I think, is that the question is going to give you an X value. It's be like, find G prime of, find the slope of F inverse. This is how it'll say it. Find the slope of F inverse at X equals 12. The thing you have to know is that the X value you're given always going to be an X coordinate for the inverse 100% of the time. You will always be given that. So that you have to keep in mind. And then the other thing is, since you're given the X coordinate on the inverse, you're really given the Y coordinate for the original function. You have to work out the X coordinate for the original function. So this is what happens. You are basically, if the ordered pair is AB on f of X, you're given B and you need to find A. So that's how these work typically. All right, I'm gonna end this here. I'll come back in the next one and we will do some problems and get used to this. So I will see you there.